maybe.
Making sure he's all set. You good, Rob? Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Lake Township's Tuesday, October 17th, regular board meeting. Before we start tonight, some of you may or may not be here for the Corridor Improvement Authority. That is not going to be on tonight's agenda. That is going to be located on a separate meeting, which is going to be on Tuesday, November 28th at 6 p.m. We've had some interest in it, and we want to make sure that the public has an opportunity to have an in-depth discussion, and we decided that a separate meeting come up.
I'm Mary Mirshevsky. This is my husband, Joseph Mirshevsky. We're just here to give you.
I want to pull that microphone down a little bit. There you go.
We're just here to give you some information about Highland Lakes OCC campus. We are a group of citizens. We're called Citizens Action Team, a CAT, and we are part of 4 towns down on Cooley Lake Road right by OCC. We're here just to inform you that we are interested in keeping it available to the public for community and recreational purposes. There's a beautiful physical education building on there. There's all kinds of property out front where the kids play soccer, and there's tennis courts and wonderful activities, and we'd like to keep it if possible. Now, I understand that it's not going to be sold until after they close it in 2025, and so we have some time, but right now we are just trying to let the public know that we are interested in keeping it as maybe a community recreation, building, that kind of thing. So the property has much potential to offer a wide variety of services and programs to meet the needs of our population. We have many local communities are using available state and federal funding for repurposing existing educational structures into similar recreation and community centers. Also, Governor Whitmer approved funding for hometown grants, federal government, ARPA funds, health and wellness resources, and development of community centers called small town revitalization. Our goal is to save part of this beautiful, beloved property and utilize it purposefully to enhance the community. We're working with OCC Chancellor Peter Provenzano, Oakland County Parks and Rec Director Chris Ward, and Waterford Township Supervisor Gary Wall, and they all towards a shared goal to multipurpose the community center, supporting youth and adult activities and education. Thank you for your time, and I hope that everybody's aware that we are called the CAT, and if you need to get some information, we have an email. So did you want to add to that? This is Joe.
If I may, just briefly.
Your name, sir?
Joe Mirshevsky. On the same topic, our group is partnering with Waterford as well as a couple other entities to try to get the communities, Walled Lake, West Bloomfield and and Four Towns.
Commerce, West Bloomfield, Walled Lake, or no, Waterford.
Okay,
White Lake, Waterford, Commerce,
yes.
West Bloomfield.
And West Bloomfield, that's right. And what we'd like to know is who at the township we can interact with insofar as if we would like to place signs on private property that has given authority for us to place signs as to indicate who we are and who we're reaching out to as far as having an interest in trying to preserve at least part of that property. Who would we speak
You know,
to?
you're in public comment right now, so we're not really supposed to interact in public comment. It's just that. My recommendation would be, though, you contact the Township Hall and start with Community Development Director.
Oh, very well. Well, thank you for your time, and we hope we get a lot of response from folks in White Lake because you're as engaged in this as I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else at this time? Any other public comment? Okay. Glad to see that we have several students in the background here. Right? Raise your hand, students. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for being here and having an interest in what goes on in your neighborhood. Next item is consent agenda. The consent agenda, students, okay, is a list of revenue expenses, check disbursements, budget amendments, department reports, police, fire, community development, and treasurer. So these are the reports that are in the consent agenda. It's one bundle of business that is of public record, that is reviewed, and is put forth for approval every month. It's kind of like the recipe book of how the previous month went. I'm looking for a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve. Looking for support?
Support.
I have support from Trustee Voorhees. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Item number 6, minutes. We're going to group the minutes together. There'll be the approval of the minutes of the special board meeting of September 19th, the regular board meeting of September 19th, and the special board meeting of September 26th. At this time, I'm seeking a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I just, under discussion, please, we received an email late in the day from Deputy Clerk Santiago that there was numerous changes to September 19th. And because it came late in the day, I don't have time to review them before the board meeting. So does anyone, he didn't attach what the changes were, the edited version? I don't have an attachment.
Guess I didn't see that email or get it.
So I'm not sure what the edited version is.
Well, Mr. Clerk?
Your timer's
Need above minutes, the
On the last
copies, final
speaker.
approval. You didn't post it on, it's been posted online. I mean, came in at 5:15. Get the same email.
Do you know to what extent the changes were?
Just in the office now, to be honest with you.
Did
Well-
anybody request changes to Deputy
I
Clerk
did not request
Santiago?
any changes.
Okay, because
It may
maybe
have
if
been
someone,
just grab-
someone here maybe would know what the changes is if it was their request.
Could have been Mike Powell.
Yeah.
Could have been grammar. We could always remove that and approve that next month.
Which 19th? The regular
September.
meeting?
The 19th.
It just doesn't
Was
say,
it
it
the
says
regulars or
several.
the
Regular board
special?
meeting,
It was the regular?
regular board meeting.
His email doesn't specify, but maybe we could just pull out the regular if you think that's what it is, so we have time to
What,
know
state-
what the edits are.
Yeah, state's regular board meeting.
My email just says several last-minute corrections, edits were made to the above minutes, the copy, final approval. But I don't have attachment in my email to know if it's the regular or the special.
It's the regular.
Okay.
So if no one made changes, can we just continue with their approval, Liz? If none of this group's any corrections for this,
Powell might have.
it was more internal that the corrections were made, like just language-wise, or?
I mean, like if it was grammatical, I'm fine with that, but if it was like some kind of intentional edit, then I don't know.
I went over them earlier and I didn't see anything, so he didn't mention it to me other than the email that you stated. I didn't see anything other than grammatical.
You want to move it to the end of the meeting if he's going to be in contact with Douglas?
Yeah, let's move the minutes to the end of the board meeting
Okay, that works.
so that we
Then we can have
can
time
move
just to look
7,
it
A,
over.
B, and C to the end of
send
the
him an
meeting
email.
tonight. And
Okay.
if we have a,
get an email.
reach out with Douglas, we'll find out what's going on. Next item, new business request for site extension of Avalon. Mr. O'Neill.
Good evening. Tonight on your agenda is a pretty straightforward request. The Avalon project at Hill Road and M59 received, actually a year ago tomorrow, preliminary site plan, excuse me, at the Township Board. And Mr. Galbraith, who's here tonight representing the applicant, he and I have had many conversations over the last several months, and he sent a request in on September 29th. That letter is in your packet, requesting a one-year extension, which is, certainly a fairly ordinary request, pretty straightforward, and kind of given the climate, the economic climate, something I'm not surprised that he's asking for. And, in addition to some of the engineering obstacles he's had to tackle, I know that in the last year, he spent considerable time actually working with the supervisor's office to communicate with the school district to obtain easements, things like that have really slowed the project a bit. That's a pretty straightforward request that our department would support. But the second part of the request actually involves a minor amendment to the west side of his site plan, which you'll see on the big screen. You'll see bubble here in red the original layout that was approved a year ago by the Township Board. These sort of H-shaped buildings are stacked units. I believe there are 12 plexes, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Galbraith. And then you can see kind of a cluster of them here, and then down in the very corner, one down here as well. Rather than doing the 12-plex, he would like to reduce by 28 the number of apartment units on the west side, which is about a 7% reduction. And it'll result in there being no building on the corner now, if I'm reading this right. And then in the bubble area on the lower part of your screen, you'll see a ranch product replacing the stack product. So from our standpoint, we have no issue with this. Again, it's a lesser impact. It lowers the density. We just wanted to make you aware that that was something that he was looking to do. From, I guess, where I would sit, I would have no issue with this just being picked up at the time of final. There's been no review yet on the bottom plan, the reduced plan, but it was something we wanted to bring up tonight. And again, Mr. Galbraith is here and able to answer any questions that you may have for him, and I'm happy to do the same if you have any questions for me.
Okay. I'm glad I could facilitate some of the water easement mechanisms there with the school district. Yep.
We've also, of course, been working with Myers to be able to facilitate the redundancy of the water. And we've got a preliminary design completed for that, and I think we've got an agreement in principle with Myers. So what we're asking for is an extension for 1 year so that we can continue through the process of final engineering, final site plan, the PD agreement, and so forth. It's been a very challenging year in our industry with construction costs, land development costs, and the cost of financing. So we've had a bit of a headwinds, but we've nonetheless been working on the project diligently. And we feel that we need an additional year to be able to come back with a final site plan, as I said. And in the meantime, we've rethought a little bit of the site plan as Sean has described, where we use in the alternative ranch units as opposed to the two-story units, reducing the number of overall apartment homes within the development slightly. We've, based upon our experience of developing similar communities, we feel this is more appropriate and more market-driven. And I would ask that you look favorably on a one-year extension of our preliminary site plan.
I know there's a lot of work has gone into this site plan and planning, and I applaud you for the reduction in the density. And I know it's somewhat market-driven, but still nonetheless, it's nice to see that you're considerate of that and going to a single-story unit versus a two-story. So that's definitely going to
Yeah,
make.
I think it certainly will reduce the appearance of the critical mass on the development by losing that quantity of buildings and substituting fewer units of a ranch style. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Ruggles, you have had experience with this particular plan, and how does this reflect in your mind?
I have no, I have no issue with the extension. I think 12 months, you know, and in 2023, 12 months is probably pretty short. I think I talked to Mr. O'Neill about that earlier today. We're seeing a lot of these plans come back for extensions now, so.
It seems to be a trend.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine with the extension, and I'll be voting yes for it.
okay. Any other questions? Mr. Roman?
Yeah, Mr. Gelber, thanks for coming out here today, and I can totally sympathize with you on the finance environment, as well as the craziest inflation that I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Your plan development is a huge piece of our corridor improvement authority, and I'd love to see it happen. And if you need another extension, by all means, you've got my support, so thanks.
Well, I'm not here to ask for a second one at this point. You know, we intend to work diligently over this next year and hope to bring the project to life in the middle to end of '24. And anything we can do with respect to this corridor program, since we are a vital part of the corridor, we'd be happy to have those discussions with the township.
Thank you, appreciate that. Mr.
I'm in favor of the extension, the economic climate. We're in the process of, trying to build a civic center. So we see what you're up against, and really appreciate the way you've worked with this board. I think our ordinance is 6.2, right, Director O'Neill?
Pardon?
Per units per acre, right? And he's come way under that. Mr. Galbraith?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
It's 6.
I think maybe the overall combined density over both the single-family and multiple-family projects. I don't remember exactly, but
So,
Well, moving in the right direction.
yeah, I'm in favor of it, and if you need another extension, I'd support that too.
Any other questions or comments before I seek a motion?
Just for clarity purposes, so you give us a chart on page, I apologize. Well, I have no internet, so I'm looking at my phone, I apologize, and I'm trying to find it, here we go. The page right before your mapping. So, where you would like to reduce your revised plan for 250 ranch apartment homes from 178, so you want to add additional. So, in this memo.
He's reducing.
He's reducing, I said, I'm gonna do, reducing, but he wants to add additional number of ranch buildings here and there. So do you know how it washes out? Like, I know you're reducing the ranch apartment homes, but and then you're adding here and there. So do you know like the final number of your overall residential units will be? Like how it balances out? I just have the chart.
I've attempted to summarize that in the chart, and I think we can run through it.
Okay.
Is that in the revised, I'm not really calling it an amended plan, it's more of a modified plan at this point, it's a matter of semantics. We're proposing 210 ranch units in lieu of 178 ranch units. So there's a gain of 32 units in the ranches, okay?
So my chart says 215. Did you misspeak or is there a change in the revised plan?
No, the stacked apartment homes was 216, and in the revised plan, it's 156. I don't know where you're getting the 215.
I'm looking at a chart dated September 29th, directed to Community Development Director O'Neill. It's the last, I believe it's page 28 in the packet.
Sean, that was the first count that we had, and as we actually got to dropping the buildings in on the plan, that 215 went to 210.
So
Okay,
I can actually bring it up here.
Yeah.
It's on the,
Right here.
we incorporated it on the plan sheet as well.
It's on the screen, Jim.
It's 210 units
okay.
of the ranches. So that's a gain or an additional 32 units of the ranches.
Our numbers are
Okay.
But we took the stacked units from 216 units to 156 units, which is a decrease of 60 units. And then, so if you add the two together, we're decreasing the overall unit count as we see it now by 28 units.
Okay.
That's not to
That
say.
was my question,
Yeah,
so we got
that's
there.
not to
Thank
say
you.
it might not even get reduced further as we finalize engineering, deal with the absolute specific soil conditions and the grading plan and so forth. But it's those numbers at this time. Interestingly enough, we lose 6 stacked buildings, which are greater in critical mass and coverage, and replace them with 6 ranch buildings that vary in size from 4 to 6 units per building. So that's what the current math is like, Liz.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. So,
Okay, any further questions? Like to entertain a motion, Mr. Ruggles?
Sure. Get to the
I
top.
guess my last comment will be, is we've had this discussion many times that I'm not in favor of your project overall, but I understand economically why you're requesting the extension, and I don't have a problem with giving you the extension.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Ruggles?
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a site plan extension for 1 year for the Avalon project.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you very much for your time this evening.
Okay. I'm going to revisit the minutes, A, B, and C. The information that we have at hand is that the change was in the special board meeting of September 19th, and it was grammatical only.
Okay, great to
As
know.
I stated.
So I would like to seek a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of September 19th
Support.
and the regular board meeting of the special board meeting of September 19th, the regular board meeting of September 19th, and the special board meeting of September 26th.
Support.
Amend your support?
I'll amend my support.
I have support. That's a motion on my part, a support on his part, support on Anthony's part. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, thank you. Okay, clean that up, got that out of the way. Next item, request for bond extension of Carter's Plumbing on M59. Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you. We don't normally take performance guarantees, but as you may all recall back on July 19th of 2022, when Carter's Plumbing came in and needed a little bit of flexibility to do some of the site work necessary to bring their property up to, I guess, current standards, the Township Board granted them an 18-month approval, and a performance guarantee was deposited at that time. I spoke with DLZ today and spoke with Carter's Plumbing's engineer, Casey Leach, today, and everyone seems to agree that in the next 2.5 or 3 weeks, everything on that site will be complete with the exception of the landscaping. So they're asking for a 6-month extension. They don't actually expire until January 19th of 2024, so they're being kind of proactive. From our office's standpoint, for them to try to plant in November when, weather's starting to change, on the tail end of all this work, doesn't maybe make a great deal of sense. There's not going to be a whole lot left at the nurseries to pick from, and they're going right into kind of harsh weather conditions. So from our perspective, it'd probably be better for them to just hold off and finish the landscaping. They're going to leave the performance guarantee in place. They're just asking for a 6-month extension. So we'll have more than adequate funds on hand to cover the extension, the planting of the landscaping. So from our standpoint, we really don't have any objection to this extension request.
Okay, I will tell you, so far, it's been an exemplary job. The building looks great. It's nice to see all that cleaned up. I don't ever remember it looking as good as it does now. And with a little bit of vision, you can kind of see what the rest is going to look like. So I myself have absolutely no problem whatsoever extending that. We have had from time to time various projects in the township that have needed an extension for one reason or another, just like the previous project that just came forward. So questions, comments from the board?
I just have a comment.
Andrea Voorhees.
Thank you. As someone who remembers it being Oscar Larson, to someone that also remembers the previous owners of AMCOM, thank you for improving that building. It looks great. It really improves our corridor of 59. So I thank you for that. I'm absolutely in support of it, and I'll be looking forward, because that's my travel path a couple days a week.
Thank you.
And,
Mr. Roman.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the
I have a comment.
to extend a 6-month extension on the performance bond for Carter's Plumbing.
We have a motion on the floor, conversation.
Wait, you can get support and then conversation.
Okay, we'll support. I have motion, I have support, conversation.
So I still have discussion. So the comments I'd like to talk about is I pulled the July 19th, 2022 meeting minutes, starting on page 18, when we had a long discussion about this, Mr. Carter. And the comments that I still stand by is you did this first and hoped for forgiveness later. And I had great concern at that meeting about the disturbance of the Huron Water River shed and why you disturbed putting in storm drains and disturbing that whole area. And we had an incident when we had very high rain waterfall over the summer, and there was, in joking, that there was fish out on M59. And I just want to make a comment that although you're not fully responsible for that, your damage to the drain system, to the Huron River watershed, did affect our aqua life and did kill fish, did put them into M59. And your damage was significant, and the toxicity that you potentially put into Oxbow Lake was significant. So I just don't want that to, again, be overlooked. And so I'm hoping that you are doing exactly what you promised on July 19th, because you did cause a lot of damage to our environment and most importantly, our water by your actions. So I do know, I've driven past, and I do know you're working hard and you've gotten a lot done. And I understand that this extension is just for landscape. So I just want to be clear with Mr. O'Neill that the Eagle covenant from Oscar Larson is going to be followed to the T to protect our environment in the area, and that the landscape that's being put back is pine trees or what is going back on 59 corridor.
I can pull up, if you'd like, the landscape plan that went to the Planning Commission. Let's see. I don't think, no.
Would you like me to speak to it at all?
Yeah, but I'll just say really quickly, so the covenants that you're mentioning, that, we're really not involved with that.
Right, we've handed them to Eagle appropriately, I understand that.
Yeah, and since they were last here, they have gone and put a due care plan with an environmental firm in place. It's like 800 pages. I haven't read it. But
But
that
I read
went-
all 77 pages that you sent me.
Well, and I don't know if I think I have the due care plan somewhere. I don't know. It would be, I would print it, but it would look like a couple phone books. But, so the due care plan was prepared for the state of Michigan, we were copied on it, but we don't really play a role. So the work that they're doing now, part of the remediation, and Casey can probably speak more completely to it than I could, but just so you know, some of the dirt that's being piled up is as a result of the state requiring them to take the contaminated soil out and test it, take it out, and take it to an appropriate landfill for disposal. So they're in the process of doing that, which was not, I don't think, what they had originally intended to do, but as a result of the state getting involved back in July of 2022, the township getting involved and working with them, they responded by hiring an environmental consultant, getting a due care plan approved by the state, and they're actually, part of the work that they're doing and bringing the site plan up to standard is remediating some of that contamination or a good amount of that contamination. So they're working directly with Eagle on that portion of this.
And I'm good with that. I think we should hand that over to Eagle. They're experts, and that's what we should be doing. But, so I just want to be clear on if we're giving an extension based only on landscape, let's be super clear of what the landscape is, because unfortunately, Mr. Carter's actions did cause damage to the Huron River watershed
Do we have proof of that?
and aquatic life.
Do we have proof of that?
Well, I believe it did.
I'm not asking you, do you believe? Do we
So-
have proof of that?
You're
Well-
speculating.
You're speculating.
He damaged,
No, I'm asking, just a direct question.
so the water
Do you have
runs,
proof of that?
well, I think so in
No,
the
not
planning
think. I'm not
packet.
saying think. Do you have proof of that?
I think so in the planning
Think
packet
is
where it
not-
shows
think is-
that the
think-
water
think is
travels
not- do you-
underneath the road.
Do you
and then
have
it
proof
was-
that you're allegating towards this gentleman?
Well, I'll rephrase that. I'm not making an allegation.
Well, if you
but
say I think, then you don't know.
I'm saying, I think that's, it would have contributed to it. Anthony, I do. I think
Okay,
that
so
contributed
then
to
it's
it.
speculation.
So what I'm asking
Well, I think
super
that-
clearly is I just want to know what is the landscape
Counselor?
that we're being held to, that he's being held to?
For the sake of clarity, I think what you meant to say, Liz, was that you believed that he caused this contamination, not that he actually
Yeah.
did.
Oh, no, not
You
that he
don't know
caused the
that he did.
contamination. He assumed that.
Into
Yeah.
the river.
Yeah,
You
he-
don't know that.
Well, my understanding is he assumed it as was. He didn't cause it.
Well, that's not what was
He
being said
assumed the
earlier.
covenant.
But that's not what was being said. That's why I was
I
trying
just
to
wanted
get it
clarity
clarified.
for the record, that's
Yeah.
all. Is that you weren't saying that he, in fact, did damage to the lake, to the river.
No, I don't know that.
You don't
he
know that.
did.
I just
No.
wanted, for the record, I
Yeah,
wanted
and
that
that's what I was
here.
trying to get at
Yeah,
because
I
it sounded
don't
like
have any
you
factual
were,
basis
okay,
on that.
that's what I was trying to get at because,
But the water runs under the road there and through there.
yeah, I can appreciate that. We were out there, actually, Chief Keller, are you around? So do you remember the day when the carp was stuck out and we had to call MDOT? You were trying to get a hold of Supervisor Kowal, or myself, you got a hold of me? Can you explain that, please? The day that the carps, the fish that
Anthony,
were in the
I don't
roadway,
need
do
an
you remember that?
explanation on that. My
Can you
question
explain
is
that?
really directed to Director O'Neill, is I want to just be clear of the landscape that's going in, because that's the topic of tonight. He's asking for an extension about landscape,
But we're talking about watersheds and contamination.
because the watershed does go
Call
through
to
there.
order, please. Mr. O'Neill?
So right here you see in the legend, if you want to talk about maybe types of materials, we can go through the plan. Aside from putting a new lawn in, they're going to be planting white fir, white oak, red maple, ginkgo trees, Japanese maple, white flowering dogwood, lilac, burning bush, arborvitae, and American boxwood. And you can see, this is actually the south end of the site, Glen Road. You can see a row of arborvitae through here. You can see some ginkgo trees, it looks like, through here. Red maple in the corner here is a white oak. As you move down, actually out in front is where you're gonna see more of the screening where the white firs are located here. So the fence will be kind of back off of the new pathway that will go in, which you can see here. So behind the new pathway, there'll be a row of landscaping and then a fence and then the rest of their site. So there is quite a bit of shrubbery up here. There's a row of shrubs here. Those are the.
O'Neill, is your cursor at M59?
Yeah, M59 is right here now. I'm just zipping around, but a little bit of planting near the corner of the building, some planting along 59, kind of where in the middle of this new lawn area. But most of their landscaping is really along 59 and down the side. There's a little bit in the back.
So, Mr. O'Neill, I'm going to rephrase what I understand to be the question. The extension of the current bond that's being requested by Carter's Plumbing covers pretty much the entirety of the restoration of this particular plan, landscaping, pavement where allowed, and the engineering done by Keith as the nature of this project.
Yes, this was actually the plan that went to the Planning Commission for special land use. They were granted special land use approval for outdoor storage last month. That was something that previous owners were just, it was legal non-conforming, but because they were going in and fixing the site up, we said, we'd really like you to bring this up to, the current standards, so they did do that. And that is why they that they had to go through the special land use approval process. But their site plan was administratively approved. These are the elements that were part of that original plan. So this is what they intend to plant. And I do believe that, in the next maybe 3 weeks or so, the only outstanding items will be the landscaping, based on what they're telling us and what our field folks are reporting back to us.
And currently, from what you've seen or what information you've gathered, that they are in compliance as far as moving forward and have moved forward to the best of their ability due to some of the permitting and the due care plan, things of
Yes.
this nature, have been very cooperative with the township of this matter.
We don't, from our standpoint, our department, we don't have an issue with where they're at in this process. And, if they were, they had a little bit more warm weather, they might be able to get it all done, but it's just not how.
I have a question.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have any knowledge from Eagle that we have contaminated water and that this applicant or gentleman, Mr. Carter, caused such watershed damage?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Keller. Okay, we have motion, we have support. I'm going to go for a call.
I don't know who made this support. You're pointing this way, but it wasn't me.
I
No,
supported
he
it.
did.
Okay.
I have motion and support. Roll call vote?
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Yeah, and Clerk Noble, yes, I said yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Carper good smoked. Okay, so, all right. Request to approve fireworks application at Lakeland High School. Chief, anything to add to this?
No, we have no objection. They've met all the application requirements. This is what they're understanding, though, on the day of the display, there's a required on-site inspection for compliance. And if everything's good, they'll be issued an operational permit.
Okay, questions, comments from the board?
No rainout date?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's football, don't they?
It's a home, yeah, or whatever. It's some kind
They'll
of,
be playing in the rain. They don't
Yeah.
care, yeah. Okay.
I'll motion, Mr. Supervisor, to approve the firework display at Lakeland High School.
I'll support that.
We have motion and support from Andrew Voorhees. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Next item, 8D, Resolution 23-037, approve emergency operations support plan in support of the Olton County Emergency Operations Plan.
Mr. Supervisor, are you okay with me staying right here, or do you need me to the
No,
podium?
you're fine.
Okay.
As long as we can hear you, you're.
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
I talk pretty loud. So what you have before you right now is our request to readopt as a resolution our emergency operations support plan. And this plan really describes our part as it functions with the emergency situations in cooperation with Oakland County. This is something we readopt every 4 years. I gave the board members an opportunity a couple weeks ago to take a look at the changes. It's a pretty lengthy document. But there were some pretty drastic changes in it with the stakeholders because we've had such turnaround. So right now, I think, I didn't get any questions from the board. Like I say, it's a big document if you really want to read through it. I have also here, Robert Seeley from Oakland County Emergency Management. Really, if you have any questions technical, which would be how we would recapture funding in light of a disaster, that would be more in his wheelhouse. So I had him come in tonight just to answer any questions like that or anything I really like. It's beyond me.
I will interject here for a moment. In the past, really didn't think a whole lot of the emergency operations. He's chuckling. But throw in a tornado and you suddenly become very much aware of how important it is to have a relationship with the county, because the very next morning, that was Saturday night, Sunday morning, I was down at Oakland County signing the papers to declare an emergency in the township. And they were great to work with and made themselves available. This was a 24/7 operation. They don't sleep. And they're in the what-if business. And it's good to have them as a partnership. As far as repayment went, there was different procedures which are way too involved to get into.
Yeah.
But the township was able to recover a good portion of the funds, actually, I think all the funds that we extended in the cleanup and some of the overtime that we had through this process. It took us a little while, but we got through it. And some of it was on our end because we had never done it before, so it was just trying to figure it out. So I believe this is a very valuable program. It's also led to a relationship where Mr. O'Neill has now gotten involved and has received some additional training and has another set of eyes and ears for our community down at Oakland County, and I think it's well worthwhile, and I support this wholeheartedly.
And without this plan, I believe we're no longer eligible to collect funding
Correct.
under disaster. And understand this, when I looked at this plan originally, I felt it a little bit deficient, and if we're gonna have a plan, we wanna have something that functions for us. And so I changed some of the direct and control and coordination stakeholders in this, because it just can't be the fire chief. I could be out of town. So I made some adjustments there. It's also my intention to work with Oakland County and facilitate some training for some of the people assigned to this plan. It doesn't do a lot of good if they're not trained. I want to get NIMS training for them and also damage assessment training set up. That's going to be in the future.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board?
So it just takes, we're just looking to pass the resolution is all?
Yes, I'd like to move forward.
Sure. I'll make a motion.
Please
I
do.
just have a quick question. This goes in effect tonight. Well, that's where I didn't miss. Like when's this take effect and it lasts for 4 years? I heard that part of it.
Yeah, it goes in effect, this had to be done by November.
Yes.
So I'm trying to jump on this before November. So it would go into effect, yes. And it would be, I think it's November to 4 years up to the next November. Is that what it is? Yeah.
And then if any of those stakeholders, those names change, they just slide right in.
I would have to come out, there's a spot to make revisions.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mr. Ruggles.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 23-037.
I have a
support
motion
it.
to approve.
I'll support
Support by Mr. Noble. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming tonight. Chief, thanks for all your hard work on this. Old business, second reading amendment to Chapter 18, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances, Fire Prevention and Protection, Section 110, Unsafe Buildings. If you recall, this was about partially burned buildings and,
Yes. Well, hello again.
yeah, hi.
This isn't another thing in the fire code we found that really didn't address this. And we would get a fire and we're having buildings sit vacant and burn far too long. And it gives us the ability to really keep surveillance on the property to make sure things are moving appropriately forward. And it's just not sitting idle for years. And tonight we're here as a second reading.
Yeah, it to adopt, and I think this is important for the public to know, and in particular, students to know that this was something we had an interest in because we had a few different buildings, one of particular that sustained severe fire damage to the point of where it could not be habitable, and the house rather sat and sat and sat and sat. I think it was 5 years. And the owner neglected to take action. Eventually, we had it condemned as a dangerous building and had it removed, which is not an action the township wants to ever do, but we were forced to do it. So this now has us in our ordinances, which allows us to take action much sooner, to work with persons, to kind of coax them along on a rehabilitation plan, or to figure out what will be the demise of the property one way or the other. So Chief, I totally support this, as you know. Okay. Any questions, comments from the board? Seeking a motion. Andrea?
Make a motion to pass, hang on, I'm going back up to it. The ordinance amendment for an ordinance to amend Chapter 18, Article 2 of the White Lake Township, with the Code of Ordinances, commonly referred to as Fire Code Ordinance, Section 1825, entitled Changes in the Code to a Provision Amending Section 110 of the International Fire Code.
In the form of a motion, I support.
Support.
I support from trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Number 2, Resolution 23041, accepting offer to purchase surplus property parcel number 12-13-202-017 and 12-13-202-018. Mr. Roman.
Well, as you all know, the township purchased 5 lots. Well, it's actually more lots on Gale Island due to dangerous building issues. And then once we purchased those lots, we reconfigured those property lines into 5 lots. We are now under contract to sell 2. And we've received a cash offer with no inspection for 2 others, specifically lots D and E, for $150,000. In talking with our real estate agent, Steve Stockton, he is strongly recommending that we accept this offer. He has had no other inquiries into any of these Gale Island lots. These are difficult lots to sell. Again, Mr. Stockton highly recommends it. In order to purchase the lots that we did, the township put out over $280,000. If the board will agree to accept this offer, that'll actually put us ahead of the game. We not only recoup all the money we spent, but we end up with a little extra.
Just for the sake of the public will understand that there were originally 8 lots that were configured on this island in a rather peculiar arrangement. And we took and evaluated that particular property, of which had multiple structures on it, which were dangerous buildings that were literally, the roof was laying on the ground and were a fire hazard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Took legal action. Through the legal action, we sought dangerous buildings action, which in turn we enforced, demolished the buildings, removed them from the site, restored the property to grade, and billed the property owner. The property owner failed to pay, went back into Oakland County taxes. The county offered them to us to help us as first choice for us to recoup our expenditure. So we have sold 2 of the 5 lots. This will sell another 2 lots, which will leave 1 lot left. And at this point in time, we are moving ahead of the game. So the township was able, it was this board's intention for us to recoup those tax dollars that the township taxpayers pay, and we've done so, and we'll actually get a little bit more out of it and put us in a little better position. But nonetheless, this also puts those parcels back on the tax bill. So now there's property owners that own them, they'll have an interest to do it, what they want, work with the community development director, and move forward. So that's kind of like the a little longer version, but I wanted you to understand because you didn't have the whole story. So that's kind of it. So, Mr. Roman, I concur. I would think that offer is 150, correct?
150,000,
I think-
cash sale,
Yeah.
no inspection.
No conditions, no inspections.
No condition.
So I just wanted to comment, because Mr. Supervisor, you left early, and our discussion on our special board meeting, just in a few minutes, why we had the discussion was one of the properties had the grinder pump
Grinder
on-
station.
grinder station on it, and that's why we had discussion on it last time. So that was why why the board had discussion to counter, was this particular piece, one parcel has a grinder station on it. So we don't have the privilege of speaking to Mr. Stockton, so.
Sorry?
We haven't had the privilege of speaking to Mr. Stockton, so Mike, did he have any comment about that?
Yeah, his comment was that there's been no other interest at all. And he because of that, he strongly recommends we accept the offer.
Okay, because that's, we thought that held value.
Well,
I think it does.
yeah, I think it does add value. I also think we're heading in.
That's still a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money,
For a
but,
lot on an island.
but, to buy part of Gilligan's Island, I mean, what the
Yeah.
heck? So it's not, and the thing is, we'll get it back on the tax roll. And we're also going into the softer season for vacant land sales now, setting into the fall. I think it's a fair offer. It's
I'm just curious
equitable.
what he thought about that.
I think that's
know.
the way that he came across to us. It's fair and equitable. So, any other questions or comments at this time? I'd like to entertain a motion, Mr. Roman.
I'll make a motion to approve the offer for $150,000.
I will support that.
And if I may,
Yes.
suggest that the net proceeds go to the improvement revolving fund.
I agree. Okay.
And that this is sold with the warranty deed.
I amend my motion to support your motion. Roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
clerk Noble, yes, treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell.
Yes. Okay, good deal. Okay, moving on to item number 10, Cedar Island Road update. Counselor? Anything to tell us about Cedar Island?
I filed a motion for summary disposition outlining the law, providing affidavits and photographs. They responded with a very, they responded to my motion, and I am currently working on a reply to that response, which is due tomorrow. Oral argument is on November 1st.
Okay, very good. And Mr. Roman, Civic Center Committee update.
Well, Mr. O'Neill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe both buildings are now, we've pretty much completed the schematic design phase, and we're now into design development. We are putting together a team of employees now to look at the interior components of the building, furniture, so on and so forth, furniture and fixtures. That hasn't taken place yet, but I do think we've got the team in place. We still need to pick brick color, so on and so forth, but as far as the basic designs, I know at least in the Township Hall, we're moving on to the design development phase and whatever else you can add, Sean.
I think you're accurate in your recounting of where we're at. Just so everybody understands, because we're done with schematic design doesn't mean we're done with the design. There's a lot to still do, and Mr. Roman, you touched on that. There are going to be changes to the building. There are going to be changes or decisions made on materials and colors and all that stuff. It's just really sort of like the conceptual piece. The architect has completed that package of information. So there'll be plenty more discussions over the next couple of months. And I think that design development is going to be done, I think, on public safety by the end of December, and on Township
December to
Hall
end of
by
December.
mid-January was kind of where they were thinking. So at some point in the coming weeks, the board will need to meet with the architects again to kind of flesh some of the other details out and kind of take another look at where things are at with the renderings. What we've asked for and we don't have quite yet are the renderings from Redstone. I would hope that in the coming days, we'll have those so we can send you a package of all the renderings, sort of like we did on Township Hall, so you can give, feedback and provide input. So it'll kind of help to shape the building a little bit further, so. And you were correct, Mr. Roman. I believe there'll be a committee picking out some furniture and some other things. I will be very far away from that committee, hopefully. Because I'm not very good at that stuff. You don't want me picking anything, any colors or anything like that. It'd be dreadful. So,
Okay,
Any questions from anybody?
we're going to have some more meetings, which is good. I'll give Elizabeth Lake Road update. The final engineering has been finalized through the revisions that Oakland County Road Commission has made and was submitted, and I actually have a phone call with them tomorrow to find out where our permit is along the way. So hopefully that will move forward, and we will be able to put that contract out in the spring along with the others. We have requested through the group Beckett, Rader, and others that we try to do a mass grading, early mass grading grade to try to take advantage of whatever weather we can get and get ahead of it so that we're not starting the buildings later than we have to. So we'll see where it all kind of pans out for right now. So for right now, there's beans in the field and the big 6-point hanging out there. I don't know if you saw him or not the other day, but he's out there. I would like to make one quick note regarding the resolution 23041 on the property. And
Mike's
that,
going to amend his resolution.
Mr. Roman?
Yes, so I'd like to amend my motion on the Gale Island purchase to include approving Resolution 23-041.
You want to, and
You have to vote on that.
Yeah, and I need support.
I support that. Roll call vote.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles?
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal?
Yes.
Treasurer Roman?
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees?
Yes.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Trish.
Okay, very good. Kind of caught that little dangling participle there. Okay, at this time, we are going to go into closed session. Closed session is when the board will leave the room and pretty much the public will be out of it. We have the
Trustee comments
executive
really quick?
privilege for that, so I am going to say I beg your pardon?
Before you said a
Can we do
question.
trustee comments before we leave?
We're going to be quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Closed session to consult with legal counsel regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with Black Rock, White Lake versus White Lake ZBA Sixth Circuit Court, case number 2023-2009007-AA in accordance with MCL 15.2681E. Roll call vote?
Supervisor Kowal?
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles?
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees?
Yes.
Treasurer Roman?
Yes.
We're in executive session.
We'll be quick.
We'll be real quick if you guys want to hang out for a minute.
Who said?
Call to order. Beautiful.
And it was only Lisa's kid.
Yeah, that's fine. Let her, give her a minute.
Yeah. He needs a towel.
Okay, will be one moment. Thank you. Counselor? You coming back, Lisa?
No.
I'd like to make a motion to go back into open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're in general session. Okay, regarding our executive session, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor and our township attorney to modify section A3, consistent with our discussion,
And then authorize the entry of the judgment.
and then authorize the entry of the judgment, please.
I will support that motion. Roll call vote?
Supervisor Colwell.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Very good, thank you. Okay, now on to my semi-favorite part of the meeting, our trustee comments. So I'm going to start out with Mr. Roman.
I just want to thank the students and thank everyone else that attended tonight's meeting. Thank you much.
Very good. Mr. Noble.
I'd like to thank the students that came out here, I believe for government class, to watch the meeting, and I'd like to thank my staff for the last few weeks of working diligently throughout for the township.
Good. Trustee Voorhees.
I would like to thank my fellow coworkers, or fellow board members, sorry, for wearing pink tonight in honor of breast cancer awareness. Most of you guys know that my job takes me to odd places. And this week I found myself in a breast imaging place, so I thought it was a perfect area to get a quote or information about breast cancer. The fact is that one out of every one breast cancer is diagnosed in the US is found in a man. And most of those that is found after the age of 50. I thought it was a very appropriate comment for this.
Out of how many?
1 out of 100 men over the age of 50 I found with breast cancer. So thank you.
Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll try to be quick because we're clipping along tonight. I just want to backtrack to last month. I apologize to Chief Holland. I was remiss, and also to Chief Keller. I didn't mention the awesome fire truck pull in that community event, and the fire department won. And Sergeant Connell from the police department did a fantastic job setting that up to go to the proceeds to the Special Olympics. I forgot to mention that. My apologies. It was really great to watch, and congratulations on your win and your trophy. So, sorry about that. And then I want to mention that the township, along with Parks and Rec and the Chamber, is holding a wonderful trunk and treat event Saturday, October 21st. That's free from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be activities afterwards inside the farm. You're welcome to stay just for trunk or treat, or come on in the farm and enjoy cider and donuts and games and whatever else fun you'll have. Costumes are welcome, all ages are welcome. And encourage you all to come out to that great community event. And then again, I'd also like to speak to breast cancer. It's something very near and dear to my heart. I don't believe it doesn't. There's nobody in this room or in our community that this has not touched and affected in some way, shape, or form. It is now recommended for women over the age of 40 to receive a mammogram once a year. So if you're able to do that, please do so. And it does affect women, men, and pets. And something very near and dear to my heart is it does affect pets. It's mammary cancer. And so please, as you're doing your self-exams, also do those exams on your pets as well. And I wish you all a very safe and happy Halloween. And that's all. And one more thing. I just want to say again, this is not something we govern locally, but it's a human issue. And my heart is certainly with Israel as I sit here tonight. And may God bless Israel and the American soldiers, and I'll be continuing to pray for them. So thank you.
Very good. Mr. Ruggles.
Oh, thank you. We have a planning commission meeting this Thursday. Oakland Harvesters is on the agenda as well as our master plan update. So if anybody has any interest in attending, we'll be discussing our master plan. And I was going to mention, Liz already talked about it, this weekend from 6 to 8 at the Fisk Farm, the trunk or treat. And I know the donuts and cider are going to be good. And happy Halloween and happy birthday to my wife, who probably isn't watching, but just in case.
Maybe.
Happy birthday, Shelby, if you're watching. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, first of all,
I'd
like.
like to do one more, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my friends of the Lydia Barnes chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution that came to Wet Lake Cemetery and helped history, in a sense, come alive again by cleaning the graves, tombstones. The one that Anthony and I did last year. Everyone in White Lake should have screamed when I saw it because it looked like it was brand new. A year later, it was fantastic. So that's why I had to say something. I'll do it again because the ones that we've done look fantastic. So thank you.
Okay. Well, again, everybody, the heightened awareness of cancer, it affects more people than sometimes we realize, and has struck very close to home in my case. So I certainly think that people need to be aware of it, and men must be aware of prostate cancer and all those other things that they don't want to talk about. But it's extremely important that you do that because you just never know when it can affect you. And it is probably one of the more curable forms of cancer when it's caught early. It just needs to be caught early. So don't be afraid to get out there. It's very personal, but that's what'll keep you alive. Next, I would definitely like to comment on the strife in the Middle East. I have great concerns for Jewish and Palestinian persons alike in that region. Unfortunately, there has been a long, long history of turmoil there, and we can only hope that cooler heads prevail and somewhere along the line, some resolve becomes of this. So my thoughts and prayers go out for that part of the world. White Lake is moving forward. A lot of exciting news, a lot of different things. We're going to have multiple more meetings. We'll have another public meeting at some point with some unveiling of some of the further and refined designs that we're going to be working with. And next year is going to be a very, very busy year here. So we will have a lot of things going on. There'll be a lot of targets moving around, but it'll be fun. And it will be moving the township forward in the right direction. So with that, I say thank you all for attending. Thank you, students who walked out as quick as they could. But, that's normal. We can always tell student government night. But thank you for being here. And teachers, they were here through like 99% of the meeting. Nobody snuck out. So it's all good. So appreciate that. Appreciate the public for being here tonight. I say good night. God bless. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.